All right. Hey, welcome to Jacob's Chatter, new
That's what it's
show.
called?
Yeah. It's like
Jacob's
Jacob's
Chatter?
it's like
Oh, like
Jacob's Ladder.
ladder? Oh, that's fun. I like that a lot. That's
Thank
great.
you. I've had that name for decades and then I never knew what to do with it till now. So welcome. This is my first
Can you
guest,
see my
Raanan.
phone is broken? Can you see my glasses are broken? Like I broke them right before this. I think pretty
Oh,
evident.
I didn't see that until you told me. But now that's
Yeah.
that's all everyone's going to be thinking about this
I
whole
look
time.
like a retarded pedophile. Like I just yeah.
And you looked like that before your glasses were broken.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I just did it. Whatever. Anyway. Um yeah, Jacob's Chatter. That's really good. You had that title for a while. Yeah, I mean, I think you may be the last comedian in the world to start a podcast. I think you are officially the
Okay.
last one.
Yeah, I think it's mandatory at this point. So that's the only
Yeah.
reason I wasn't going to, but they said I had to.
Yet it's a pebble in the fucking ocean. No one gives a shit.
Yeah,
My
I
manager
know.
said
That's why I'm
my
doing it.
manager said it was like pointless that I was doing a podcast.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing it. Like I didn't want to do it if anyone was going to listen to it. That's too much pressure. So now that no one is going to listen because everyone has a podcast, that's way
They
better.
weren't going to listen before. We both know.
um, well, speaking of podcasts, you have a great podcast. I've been listening to that. Highly
Have
recommend
you?
that. I have
Is
actually.
that
I
just,
noticed
that's
my.
just like fake banter,
It's well, I
or
can
is that
tell.
just like fake banter when Letterman says he likes the movie like of the actor? It's like I love Katherine Heigl's new film. This is great.
Well, I do love all of Katherine Heigl's films, but I was listening to your podcast, which I can prove because you mentioned me on it, which was kind of a nice surprise. Even though you were making
What
fun
did
of
I
me.
say?
Oh, I like that it was memorable for you, but yeah, you had a story about like being not assertive enough to pass a pigeon, and you're like, yeah, I felt really
Yeah.
unassertive, like Jacob Williams, and I was like, oh, that was nice. Right before that, I was like, I would totally do something like that, and then I got the shout out / made fun of without me knowing that
That's
I was
fun. It's like if you're listening to a comedian and like you really relate to their observational material, and then they just say your name afterwards. You know? Like
Yeah,
Jerry
exactly.
Seinfeld, just like after he said, "Oh, I can really relate to what Seinfeld saying about being addicted to your phone." He's just like Jacob Williams, like he just says your name.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why I just equated myself with Seinfeld.
I mean, a lot of people talk about you
You
too.
listening to me say your name is the equivalent of listening to Jerry Seinfeld say it.
I mean, everyone that talks
Um,
about famous comedians, they're always like Jerry Seinfeld, Raanan Hershberg. Those are the two names.
mm-hmm.
Everyone around the world brings it up. So,
Can't think
um,
of one without the other.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, let's see here. How are you doing during this whole quarantine? I mean, you've talked about it on your podcast, which I've heard, but how's everything
That's
going?
funny. You mean my whole rant about how we should put a moratorium on how are you doing?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I didn't listen that closely.
Well, I answer all how are you doing questions by just telling you what shows I've been watching lately.
That was my next question. Yeah.
I'm watching a show whose the name of the show is something I've never ever done. It's called Defending Jacob. It's on Apple TV.
I feel like usually people are defending me because you're making fun of me.
That's true.
They're defending me against you. I haven't even heard of that. What's that about?
It's Chris Evans. He's like a DA. And
okay, I did see that. Yeah.
I just picked my nose on Zoom. Shit. Forget what Zoom is. Just there's like footage now. Me picking my nose. Just gonna be
You're not used to anyone watching you do comedy.
Yeah.
You can pick your nose and no one sees.
He's a DA, and this kid, a kid who's in his son's class was murdered, and he's a DA that bringing up a case looking for the killer, and then word gets out from the school that his son might actually be the killer.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
and his son is named Jacob.
Fun. Yep.
That might be too close to home for me because a lot of people assume I'm a serial killer based on my demeanor.
It is about like him being like not like being weird and awkward and like maybe empathetic. Are you empathetic?
It's funny. I'm actually I think that it's something I wasn't great at for a while, but I'm actually consciously working on that right now. I'm trying to be more empathetic. So far, I have the pathetic part down, but no, but I really am working. I was reading about this book, Laws of Human Nature, and they talk about that, how to like transition from being narcissistic. Like, I think we're all self-absorbed on some level, and but we can become more empathetic if we work. Yeah, so I'm trying to work on that.
It's like a muscle you build. Same thing with gratitude.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, I think you just gotta fake it till you make it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's something you've. I've known you a long time. We've done comedy together a long time, and I feel like you've come a long way with that kind of stuff, though. Actually,
Yeah, I mean, not to you. I feel like I'm just as mean
well,
as
yeah,
to
you're.
you.
I'm excluding me. I feel like I've noticed you being nicer to other people, and I'm like, wow, why is he still super mean to me? That's weird.
I guess that is awkward. Like if I've grown with everyone but you.
You think I'm an actual robot, so I don't count because of how I talk.
Yeah. I get out all the anger I can't get on real people. I get out on you. You're my Westworld.
Yeah, if I was on
But
that
I
show,
can
it'd
be,
be the twist would
I
be
can
like
be
if I
like,
wasn't a robot.
yeah, but I can be like like get out all my primal anger.
I'm your
I,
Dolores, and you're the guy with the black hat.
you ever wonder if like people like you, like I'm empathetic and other people say they're empathetic. And I kind of wonder, like, we can't really know what our level of empathy is to other people. And I always wonder, like, do other people I know, do they feel like even worse when something bad happens to someone? Like, do they actually feel like, is their level higher than mine or low? You know, you just don't know you don't know. You're like, maybe I'm like, I feel bad for people sometimes. You know, I feel bad. I do feel bad. But I'm like, maybe other people I know feel way worse. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah,
it's like, you don't really get to know, it's kind of like you don't know what other people taste. You don't know how other people like perceive things. You don't know how other people, how bad they feel compared to you when other people are suffering. So I'm just curious.
yeah, that's a good point. I try to make people feel really bad just so I can tell that they feel bad because otherwise it's too subtle. I can't pick it up. But no, that's a good point. Yeah, it's like I think it does seem like a skill that grows over time. So it's like maybe hard to know how. Anyway,
But it's
I'm just
all,
repeating what you said.
narcissism, it's all intertwined because when you're feeling bad for someone else, you're really just feeling bad for yourself.
Yeah, is your computer? Sorry to interrupt you. I think it's like shaking a little. Is it on like a stable
Oh,
surface?
maybe I got my
Anyway, that's
headphones
all right.
on.
No big deal.
Mm.
Um,
I
but
mean,
yeah.
your headphones keep on going in and out because you're doing some weird blue screen, but I haven't said anything.
Oh, my headphones are going. Oh, visually,
Like
yeah.
they're like disappearing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, what's really interesting is check this out. If you click a certain thing, I've been working on this potion where I can turn partly invisible. So here we go. I'm like,
Oh, that's
I'm
really,
like the
yeah.
guy in that movie that you hated, but you also missed 10 minutes of it, which might have been a cool part. Anyway, we had a disagreement about The Invisible Man recently because I loved it and you did not like it.
Yeah, but you only liked it to pretend to sound like woke and shit.
No, it's just a great movie. I was riveted the whole time. Great thriller.
So stupid. It's really one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
It was the best movie I thought so far this year. But there
It was so
were
funny
some.
that you like that because I literally left the theater and turned to my friend and go, anyone who likes this movie is a fucking moron. Like that's literally.
But then you told me you missed 10 minutes in the middle, and I'm like, there was like some cool stuff in there. You probably missed like a really cool scene.
Well, that was my review. I walked out to go to the bathroom, and when I came back, this is how little I liked the movie. When I came back, I didn't even ask what I missed.
By the way, as if
Really the connection. Hey, your connection keeps on going out.
hopefully this will work better. I'll just maybe cut that part out where I was switching Wi-Fi.
It's funny because you're always like a robot, but now I'm literally seeing you like glitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my screen's not actually frozen. I just don't make a lot of facial expressions. I think you're one of the funniest people I know, which is like your only redeeming qualities. So that's a joke. But yeah, is this like a tough time, like not being able to get on stage, or how are you adjusting to that?
Well, thank you. I appreciate the compliment, even though it feels weird coming from you. I feel like you're trying to put on this Tonight Show host vibe. You're like, you're one of my favorite pals over the years. But anyway, am I missing comedy? Is that the question you're asking?
Yeah,
Not really.
that's crazy. That's so weird. I think like most comics I talk to, they're like, yeah, this sucks. Like we can't get in front of audiences. And you're like, you're so good in front of live audience. That surprises me that you're not like thrown off by that.
Well, I've been doing comedy a long time, and I don't mind taking a break.
All right, fair enough.
You can't really reflect on your life because you're doing stand-up all the time. So you never got to, to take some time off. I mean, maybe it shouldn't be this long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's
Well, I
nice.
mean, I think you personally should take a much
Yeah,
longer time, but
it's nice to like. It's nice to like. I don't know. Just look at the bigger picture a little more. You know. I don't know.
that's a good point. It's funny because I've actually I feel like I've been doing more like writing and comedy focused stuff. Like I started getting back into like writing an hour a day and stuff right before it hit. So I've been doing that, but I'm like, oh, this is like the worst time to be doing that because it's like literally stand up doesn't exist. So it's just
Yeah,
poorly
and,
timed.
and ultimately it is bad because who knows if comedy is like who knows how comedy's gonna come back.
Yeah, like all the stuff I'm writing might be outdated like as soon as it comes, because it's all about what's happening right now.
Yeah, the Zoom shows are tough. I'm trying to get better at it because it's like I was just like reading tweets out loud. I just became every comedian I hate. Every comedian I hate is the ones who just like lazily read tweets out loud, and then that's literally what I did once Zoom shows started. Because I
Yeah.
didn't really know how to like. I don't know. It just seemed like such a half-assed vibe. I didn't know how to like. You don't want to try too hard on Zoom, you know.
Right. Yeah, you're like
Sitting
in a bedroom.
you're sitting in a chair. You can't like blah, blah, you know. So like I would try to match the half-assedness of it all, which is just like fake tweets out loud. But then you start doing that, and you start sounding like you're doing monologue jokes. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now I'm like, all right, I guess I'm gonna go back to working on bits and just like do them on Zoom. I guess I was afraid to like actually try bits on Zoom. You know?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I feel like I was half-assing before this, so it kind of fits
Yeah,
perfectly.
true.
But no, that's interesting. You differentiate between it because like a lot of my stuff is kind of like tweet like or one liner. I do have longer things, but it's interesting. You
What's
think of
longer, like 2 lines?
yeah, it's over the 140 character limit. So.
By the way, what the fuck happened to your album?
Oh, I'm working on it.
Oh my
it's
god!
almost ready. I've been really procrastinating, and
You know what's
I'm
funny
gonna.
about you? You look like a hardworking, obsessive nerd, but you just look like that. You're actually very lazy. Like you are
Yeah,
way less hardworking than you look.
I
And I think
know.
people look at
It's
you and they're like, "Man, this guy must be clearly he doesn't have friends. He must be just working all the time." And like, no, you like we recorded. I recorded my album a month after you. And my album's been out for like 6 months, and your album still hasn't fucking. Have you got a release date
I
yet?
know. Not yet. I kind
It's
of
almost been a
planned my.
year.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of
Why
bad.
are you doing this podcast? Fucking get the album out. That's what you should be working on.
I'm literally doing this just to procrastinate from releasing the album. It's totally ready. It was
Did you
funny
get the
because
edits
like,
done?
yeah, it's ready to go, and it's funny because like the crowd was great. Like there wasn't a lot to even do. I just have been putting it off for a year. I was like, oh yeah, I got important things to do, like
Well, if it makes you, I mean,
check
maybe
Instagram.
your album's clean, right? Mine was like dirty, or I've made no money from it. Huge disappointment.
Oh man, it was a great album that people should check it out. Downhill ever since. Let's change that.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
funny
I
album.
mean, people have listened to it. I'm saying it's not getting plays, but I hope
Yeah.
people. But it's not getting plays on the radio, or like very little. It's really upsetting.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
what a
frustrating.
perfect time to me to get like passive income, you know?
Yeah, me too. I gotta get it together. So hopefully that will be out soon. Mine, and check out Raanan's and his podcast and everything. We tried doing something like this over Instagram Live, but it was kind of rough because like people kept commenting mean things. Mostly I was typing mean things about you, but some other people were writing them too.
I don't do IG live anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of stressful. You're seeing like those YouTube type comments in real
Yeah,
time, people
because it's
roasting
like
you.
you're not getting an audience. You're just getting the pressure of an audience without like any like actual cool like laughs or anything.
Yeah.
So it's all the neuroticism you get from performing for a live crowd, but none of the reward. It's like just way much better to just like have the casualness of it just being us recording it right now. You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. It's like having an audience where you can't hear them laugh, but you can hear every heckle distinctly because like it says everything
they can't
they
laugh,
write.
but they can write down their heckles and just send them up to you on stage.
Yeah, and they just pop up over your face, like blocking out whatever you're saying. So
calling, I guess at one point someone was calling, I guess me Harry Potter's dad.
oh yeah, because of your glasses.
And I was like, is he referring to the stepdad who's fat as shit, who like pretty much died from being fat? What's that actor's name? Or is he referring to who's he referring to?
Dudley's dad, you mean? I don't know. Yeah, probably. I think it's just because of
Does
the
Harry Potter
glasses.
have a dad?
Maybe he wasn't well versed in Harry Potter. Maybe you look kind of like Hagrid a little. Maybe he was thinking Hagrid.
I played Hagrid, yeah. And how is he gonna call me Harry Potter and not you?
Yeah, I mean, hey, like I've I've got the official Harry Potter, the wand. It's not showing up because of the green screen, but I have a wand right here from the Broadway production. And
I feel like that moment was so nerdy if you think about it. Basically, what happened was because of my blue screen, the other person couldn't see my Harry Potter wand.
speaking
Like
of which,
everything
go
else.
see it when it's back. I'm mostly here to plug the Harry Potter play, but
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, you were talking about defending Jacob. Are there any other like things that have getting you through this, like books or movies, shows that you've been kind of doing the checking out?
Um, I've read a couple books. I read Camus' The Plague, which
Okay.
is a French. I don't know if you know Camus. He's a French existentialist. He did not like that term, but it's a fictional. It's a philosophical fictional novel about a epidemic in
Wow.
the 40s in somewhere off the coast of I think Algiers,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
it's like a small French little town, and it's like looking into a mirror. It's just all the same shit, you know.
Oh, wow. So it's fictional, but it's pretty accurate to like what we're going through
Yeah,
now.
yeah, very accurate. You know, at one
That's
point,
interesting.
this is in the 40s. At one point, people in the town are like, there can't be a plague. We're a modern civilized society. That's for the old, you know, the medieval time. That's not we're
Wow.
like an advanced modern society. That was like 1947.
Oh, that's so funny because now that's like what people are saying. Like we didn't really see it coming. It'll happen probably in the future. They're like in flying cars. Like, yeah, we can't have a plague.
Plagues are like humbling. It's like, oh fuck, because it does feel like some medieval shit, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Yeah, my mom, speaking of plagues, was reading about. I think it was like my great grandfather was around during the 1918 flu, so she's been reading a lot of his letters and like,
Oh really?
yeah, him going through that and like meeting people that got it and got better or got it and died and stuff like that. It was like kind of interesting that we had all just like kind of forgotten about that or whatever. But
I
yeah,
was reading this biography on this writer Marcel Proust I really like, and at one point they made a reference to like the Spanish flu like hitting this one town, and just
yeah,
as like an offside remark in the book, it just said the flu killed half the population
wow,
of that town. Yeah, I was like, Jesus.
that's crazy. I guess there was no one left to write about it, so that's why we don't know.
Yeah,
It doesn't come
yeah.
up with.
Yeah, it's funny. You'd think like we'd have such a better
Yeah,
hand on this now, but we have like the worst person ever to be president,
yeah, it's pretty scary.
and so many more people on the planet, and we're so much more interconnected.
Yeah, exactly. I started reading this older book. Did you ever read like Don Quixote? I think it's called.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh yeah, it's great. I just got into it recently. I'm like just early into it, but it's super funny. It's like amazing
Oh
that
yeah, it's hilarious. It's
something
like
can
how
like hold up for that many hundreds of years, you know?
I mean, it's like the greatest old novel of all time. Yeah, it's. I've only read the first part.
Okay.
It's a two-part book, but I loved it. I don't know why I didn't get to the second part, but I loved it. Yeah, it's really funny. Are you reading? You're reading the big red book, that like more modern translation.
I think so. Yeah, it's like about 1,000 pages, and it's a
Yeah, it's like a
paperback.
red, but a big red. Yeah.
This is a small paperback. It's
Let me see what it. Let me see it.
I got this. It's not gonna show up on here, but
Oh no, you're reading the old version. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it came out in like around 1950, I think, or something.
You
This
know, there's like a
translation.
very respected, like more modern translation that came out like 10 years ago.
I did not know that. That sounds wow. I'm kind of bummed that I didn't know that.
Well, you could just order it really easily.
That's true. Wow. Yeah, this one I just kind of stumbled on. This guy was just selling books on a street corner, and
I saw someone post the other day like, did anyone know any local bookstores I can order books from that aren't Amazon? And I was like, I feel like you really wanted us to know that you're not ordering from Amazon.
yeah,
I always find it like anytime someone asks a question on Facebook, I'm like, clearly you could have just asked this to someone you know,
you could like Google, you know.
or Google it, but clearly you just asked it just to let people know. Like just be honest, just post. I'm better than you. I'm not ordering food stuff. You know, you don't have to like act like you're, you know. Does anyone know where I can donate $5,000 to charity? Anyone know a good charity? What's the best blood bank to go and donate plasma every, you know? Uh, anyone know any good orphans I can take in? Any orphans that need taking in? It's just like, yeah, you
Yeah.
know.
I like to post that stuff and then not actually do it. It's just so people think I'm doing. But
yeah.
yeah, it is a good time to read. I tried a book club briefly, and the book was so bad, but like that's how desperate I am for human interaction. Like I was reading, like spending hours reading this book. The dedication of the book said like, "This is dedicated to you," and I'm like, I really wish it wasn't.
I don't do book clubs. Everyone has to go on their own book journey.
That's like one of the most pretentious things you go on your own book journey.
You don't know me well enough then. Well, I do think like when I read a book, it's always like a specific book I need next, and it has to kind of like be different or similar, or there's something, you know. You know, maybe I just read nonfiction, now I need a novel, but like there's always something I'm kind of like following. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like when I just can't do it when it's like forcing you to read. You know, I hardly read any books in school, and I've read most of those books on my own.
Yeah, you just wanted to be the one choosing it.
Yeah, I just can't. It's just not the right time when I get it. You know, I feel like I feel like I can, especially like a classic book, I can sense before I read it, I'm like, this is the right time to read this, you know? And then I read it, it's very much the right time.
Yeah.
But then when you're in school and they just tell you to read it, it's like, I don't know, this might not have been, you know, the right time. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and almost, yeah, when you're choosing it, it feels good. And then any classic book, I've rarely been disappointed. Like I've just been reading stuff recently, like Emma or like Wuthering Heights, and it's like anything that's been around that long is going to be good because like.
How was Emma?
It was good. It was like really fun, like entertaining. You know, like some funny like misdirects and miscommunications in these like social situations. So I enjoyed it.
Are really good, right?
Yeah, they're like funny. There's like some good twists, you know. And then it was interesting to watch like adaptations like Clueless, where it's modern, but they actually are like pretty accurate to like the bones of the story and stuff.
Yeah. Still the best adaptation of that.
And Wuthering Heights was crazy. Like I didn't realize how dark it got.
Now that I did read in school.
Okay.
And I don't really remember that much of it. I read two books I read, that and I read Jane Eyre. Yeah, I don't think Wuthering Heights is something that they really make you read in school. That I don't know, something about it is just like, I don't know, not appealing to me.
It's interesting because it's really slow in the beginning, but it actually gets like pretty dark in a way where I'm like, I'm surprised they let like kids read this. You know.
You know, I think I have tough. I've always had tough time with like British literature, besides like Shakespeare. I'm very lacking in British literature.
I do love modern British literature in terms of J.K. Rowling. Her new books, her detective books, are amazing.
Yeah. No one calls it literature, but
no, they're like some of the best stuff ever. Anyway,
but yeah, well, you know, I spent two and a half years reading Proust in Search of Lost Time.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I was reading
it.
Wow, you're rereading it. Yeah, that's interesting. You take like the longest things and like you rewatched that Irishman movie like 3 times.
Yeah,
that's interesting that you can invest that much time in something that's already like in my mind too long. But I mean, obviously it's great. But
I think the funny thing about, I mean, it's true for the Irishman, and it's like very true for Proust. Like, so Proust is 7 volumes. It's like, I don't know, maybe 4,500 pages, and it's hard. You know, you have to take your time with it. But then the ultimate joke is the minute you finish it, you kind of have to read it again to understand a lot of it.
Wow. Yeah, I think.
Because like when you're reading it, it just seems like very fragmented. Like you don't know really what the plot is. It doesn't seem like it has much structure. Then when you get to the end, you realize it's actually a very well structured book. But then when you read it again, you see all these callbacks that you wouldn't have gotten because, well, A, you wouldn't remember them. And like,
right, because it's so long.
Yeah, but you see, but also you don't know where the book's going. So they're like retroactive callbacks. You're like, oh, he set all these things up. But you don't notice, but you have to read, you see what I'm saying? You have to read it again to see where he set everything up, you know?
Yeah, it was interesting. I think I read about him in one of these Robert Greene books I read about. He talks about a lot of like historical figures. And like, wasn't it like he was trying to write this novel, and then like the novel became him just writing about himself trying to write the novel? Or am I totally butchering this?
It's actually hilarious because the book technically started as just an essay he was writing.
Right.
Like it was like an essay.
And it just got longer and longer.
It was kind of. I mean, not 100%, but there was this essay he was writing where he was just trying to like. He was that actually not fully worth it, but there's an essay he's writing where he's like critiquing a critic, a famous critic, because he was saying that the critic was saying you should judge artists by themselves, by who they are, and he was just trying to have a critique saying like it's separate, but then a lot of that he then used for this novel. But yeah, he spent a lot. He basically just stayed in bed all day and wrote it. Like didn't really kind of cut off his social life for the most part. Well, I read his biography, and one time it said he like was up for 60 hours one time just writing.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Like straight, 60 hours straight.
Wow. I've been up that long, but I never got anything done. I was just like having insomnia or something. But wow.
He was actually crazy. He was pretty perverted though.
Oh yeah.
Well,
is that why you relate to?
Well, his perversion is really gross. His perversion is he was gay. That's not a perversion. But he would go to he would go to a brothel, and he would have a young man masturbate in the corner while he was like kind of masturbating in the bed,
Mm-hmm.
And if he came, then it was over. But if he couldn't come, he'd ask the young man to leave, and then they would bring in 2 starving rats, and they'd have the starving rats basically eat each other.
Whoa.
And that was the only way he could come.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, that is.
Yeah.
Man, so if he was here now, like, he'd be immediately canceled by PETA and everything else. Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah, I guess he would. Yeah, it would be bad.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, you were talking about Zoom shows earlier. I think one of the weirdest things that happened to me on a Zoom show, like I really thought someone was clapping for one of my jokes, and then I realized she was just trying to get her dog's attention, and it was very disappointing.
That's funny. Yeah, the Zoom shows are just like, they are what they are. I mean, I will say this: if I bomb one or do well, it feels pretty much the same.
Yeah, you're just still like sitting in your room.
It's exactly like it's pretty much the same as performing live. The only difference is you don't feel anything,
Well, I didn't feel anything before this, so it's pretty much identical. Sure. So it all works out.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's fuck, I didn't go on a walk today. Jesus Christ.
Glad you're letting everyone know.
But it's the monotony of every day is just getting to me. What do you do every day? You live alone.
I do, yeah. So it is crazy with the monotony. Some things that have helped me. I do try to do certain things every day, like you mentioned, going on a walk. I'll try to do a walk every day, and then maybe some other kind of workout, like even if it's just push-ups or jogging or something.
I've been doing push-ups.
Yeah, that's good, I think. And I try to write an hour a day. I try to like maybe do a Zoom comedy or something like that where I can test out jokes.
What do you do for the other like 12 hours?
I definitely have been reading more, trying to catch up on like older movies, checking social media too much, catching up with people over the phone. Like last night I watched, I think, Night at the Opera, like the Marx Brothers movie, or a couple nights ago. And yeah, it was great. I've watched a bunch of their stuff. I've been going through a lot of the stuff on Bill Hader has this list of like 200 movies every comedy writer should watch. So I've been like pulling from that and like best
so many movies.
Screenplay winners.
Are there even 200 comedies made?
I mean,
so many movies.
Oh yeah, there's so many beyond that, but these are everyone I've watched on there.
Did they order them, or are they just 200?
No, it's just arbitrary. So like on IMDb, you can search a different way. You can like search it by rating or by time length, depending on what you're looking for. But yeah, some good ones I saw from there are like a bunch of Marx Brothers movies, a bunch of like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton stuff, and it's like pretty amazing physical comedy,
Bill Hader wrote for South Park.
Yeah, the South Park movie is on there, which is great, and yeah.
Have you ever seen Top Secret?
Top Secret? I don't think so. What's that?
Oh, you should watch that. That's amazing. It's by the Zucker brothers. It's with Val Kilmer. It's like the guy who did Naked Gun.
Mm-hmm.
Val Kilmer is a spy, but he's kind of like an Elvis type. It's kind of making fun of those old movies where Elvis would like be in like a spy kind of movie,
Oh,
Um,
nice.
but it has some of the best jokes in the world.
Okay,
You should
I'll
watch
check it
that.
out.
Have you seen Love and Death?
I don't think I've seen that one. I'll check it out.
Oh, you should definitely see that. That's masterpiece.
Awesome.
Yeah, those are two of my favorites.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. It's funny because at the beginning of the year, I had like one of those unlimited movie things, so I was just seeing every movie that came out and like watching really bad movies in theaters. There were so many bad movies earlier in the year, and now I'm watching really great movies, but it's like I'm just by myself, so it's not as fun, even though the quality is so much better.
So, what is like an average day? Break down a day for me.
Oh, well, I'll try to. I mean, I love that book, The Artist's Way. So I still try to stick to things from that. Like, I'll journal 3 pages in the morning. We were talking about working on gratitude. I'll try to include in that, like, things I'm grateful for or just things I'm worried about, other things like
Things
that.
I'm grateful that I haven't died yet of this pandemic.
Exactly. And then, yeah, I try to, like, eat healthy, just try to, like, call people, right?
You go? Do you get groceries? Like, do you go to the grocery store?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll go with my weird sleep schedule. Like sometimes I'll go like at night to 24-hour groceries, and it's not that crowded, that kind of thing.
Which one do you go to?
There's a few nearby, so it just depends on like what's open and that kind
Is
of
that
thing.
one that we always go to, like right next to your place, open?
Yeah, it's funny because that used to be 24 hours, but now it's like because of the pandemic, I think for or whatever reason, it closed at midnight. So sometimes I miss that one, so I'll go to like a different one a few blocks away
Do
or
you see
something.
people out in the streets when you go out?
Yeah, there's a fair amount out, especially now with the weather. Everyone's, for the most part, everyone's like wearing masks and that kind of thing. I saw they were showing like a movie outside, like a drive-in style movie in the parking lot. And I had a mask on. I was like really far away on the outskirts of the parking lot. So I started watching that. And then they're like, oh, you have to go, which I'm like, all right. But it was kind of interesting.
Where was the drive-in?
It was like this kind of mini mall of like groceries and stuff, and behind a diner they just
Yeah,
set up a thing.
I think drive-ins are gonna be like real big now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I've heard they're
It
making a
seems like
comeback.
it seems like what's gonna really happen is just like so many things are gonna be shifting outdoors, and it seems like comedy might
Yeah.
shift outdoors. You know,
Oh yeah, which obviously it can be some of the toughest comedy shows is like outdoors.
I've never had fun
Yeah.
doing outdoors. Um, yeah, so there's people out, but pretty much everyone has a mask, right? Like, will you be like shamed if you don't have a mask?
Yeah, I mean, especially if you go into a place. I mean, I know for me, obviously, I'll always
You
have a
kind of have
mask
to have a
on.
mask when you go into a place, right?
Yeah, I think yeah, if you're like kind of far away from like in a non-busy area, it's probably good to like it's probably okay to slip it off for a minute. But if it's crowded, yeah, I always try to have it.
Well, I'm in Phoenix, and I'll go to a grocery store wearing a mask, and there'll be so many people without masks.
Wow, that's crazy.
There'll be people stocking food without masks. Not even all the employees have masks. It's really annoying.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, early on, I remember like the like the clerk at a grocery store was like didn't have a mask on, and he was like touching my hand when he gave you money and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, you were running? That's crazy." I'm like, "That's less crazy. Like we're touching you're touching my hand right now." Like I was not close to
Yeah,
anyone when I was running.
but there's still like crazy. Are there still like crazy homeless people without masks? But I guess they're probably not.
Sure,
There's
yeah,
not that
probably.
many of those in a store, I guess.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, every once in a while, it's probably a little bit of that.
Yeah. So then, what do you do? So you do the writing, and then what?
I probably, check social media too much in between, which takes up a lot of time. But yeah, I try to like write, do Zoom shows, have long call. I've been talking to my parents more than ever, and catching up with old friends and stuff like that.
They know anyone who's died?
Not that I know of. They haven't. Yeah, I don't think they've had. It's like not quite as crazy in Kentucky right now.
Yeah, Kentucky's
Um,
pretty good. Yeah,
so how is it
Kentucky and
in
North
Phoenix?
Dakota are the only ones that have hit the guidelines,
Right.
and there's like
Yeah.
no one in North Dakota. So like, really, Kentucky is like, pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Phoenix is opening up, but I think the case has been rising.
Okay. So they're kind of reopening things there, and
Yeah,
it's getting worse as they do that.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
They're doing
Are they
much
opening
worse.
like comedy type places, like bars, or more just regular, like other places?
I don't actually know because we're just still in quarantine, but I think they're opening. I think a lot is opening. Maybe not, but I think a lot is opening. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
I know
Interesting.
they have bars open in Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah, I heard that they were like already getting crowded there and stuff, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but the nice thing is these people who don't believe in it or don't care, I guess we get to see, they get to kind of be the guinea pigs for us.
I guess yeah, that's one way of
So
looking.
they're kind of
Yeah.
like noble. They're kind of like the guy like valiantly like going out to see if there's still enemy fire,
Okay.
And
Sure.
I mean, they're not noble; they're morons. But like, I guess it's kind of like, all right, let's see if these people in Wisconsin die.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's one way to find out. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all comes back or what changes. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's definitely bad. Uh, and we have a a president who doesn't is making it as bad as possible.
yeah, it's pretty rough. But
God, a conversation's going bad when I just have nothing else to say besides like a cliche about Trump that everyone already knows.
um, yeah, no, it's definitely on my mind and I think everyone's minds right now. But yeah, have you? I don't know. Have you? So you've been like with family? Is that like an adjustment at all, or that's been good?
It's all right. I'm with my brother and then his wife, and they have a 4-year-old. So I kind of like watch the 4-year-old a little, and then just do my own thing. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's just I think I'm pretty much okay most of the time, and then I think once a week there's like a day where the monotony really gets to me, and I get really depressed. And then
Yeah,
for the rest of the time, I'm okay.
I get depressed when I watch her stand up. I'm like, this is really sorry. I felt like I had to throw in a joke because we've been really serious for a while and it didn't
Oh,
really land.
no,
So
that's okay.
it
That's
didn't.
okay.
But I don't know. We've probably mentioned this somewhere else before, but yeah, my parents are big fans of your comedy. Like we're from the same hometown, so they sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, we loved Raanan's tweet." I'm like, "Did you see mine?" They're like, "Oh, yeah, we didn't really notice yours, but Raanan's hilarious." They like go to your shows and stuff. I feel like if we
Oh,
had a
nice.
show there on the same night, like they're like, "Hey, we can't make it, Jacob.
let's not
Your
find
friend
out what
is
choice they make.
really
Yeah,
funny."
it's like in The Good Son where she's holding Elijah Wood and Macaulay Culkin, and she has to choose. It's,
It's funny because I think I read the novelization of that before I saw the movie, which is
oh, what do they do a novel after the movie?
yeah, which is not the way to go. Like if you want to read a book based on a like you want to read the book that came first, not like something where they're trying to like fill out the movie with unnecessary extra details. You know.
That was always a fascinating thing that I don't know if they still do that, but that movie comes out and they're like, let's make the novel version of the movie. And then it's like, people, are they reading it instead of watching the movie or?
I mean, I have done that weird. Like I think I read the graphic novel of like Batman and Robin and Batman, and I never saw those movies. Which I think you're a big fan of that Batman movie with Jack Nicholson. I've never.
There's
I
like a
read like
graphic
the
novel.
comic book. It was the graphic novelization, so it was just
Oh,
photos
really?
of what happens in the movie, like someone drawing a little. Like I'm like, I just didn't have a lot of access to movies growing up. I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's just weird. Yeah, like, oh man, this is what would have happened in the movie right now. God damn. Yeah, it is just pretty bizarre.
So I've never seen like Jim Carrey as the Riddler. I've just imagined it in between the frames of the comic. You know. I did have a big crush on like Poison Ivy in the comic book form, who I think was like Uma Thurman in the movie. But like I didn't even see the movie, and I was like, wow, this is really for me as a kid doing it for me, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I always. I mean, not all the time, but I feel like a lot of times I read books. It's not the whole point. Like mostly, I just want to learn about life and learn about myself. But there's always a part of me that just also wants to impress people with whatever book I've read. And I think that's what motivates people to read like classic books. You know what I mean? It's nice to say you've read a classic book.
That's why
Um,
you keep bringing up that you read this
yeah,
giant
but
amount of Proust or whatever.
but no one can like impress people like, oh, I read the novelization of Armageddon. Yeah, you can't like bring up that at a
Yeah,
cocktail party. So yeah,
people respect you less. Actually.
yeah, it's clearly not as entertaining as a movie. because that's the movie.
Yeah, they spent hundreds of millions of dollars. Like you're not going to be able to imagine it as well as how they made that movie or whatever.
Did the book just be like, man, you should really be seeing this right now? This is so good.
They just give it, yeah. Anyway, cool. Well, yeah, I don't know what else to say here. I've kind of forgotten how to talk to humans since being in quarantine. So
no, this is literally how it's always like.
Should I like edit most of this out?
Let's not pretend that quarantine is what made you forget how to talk to human beings.
That's a good point. I was socially awkward before that.
Yeah, it's ever since the quarantine. It's hard. I don't know how to communicate to humans anymore. Talking like you're fucking like.
That's a good point. This is actually a good excuse for me now.
Yeah.
Now I have a good reason for why
That's actually really funny. Yeah, you always talk to people like you had just got out of a very long quarantine.
I mean, I was an only child, so I kind of was quarantined for a long time. I was just in my room. So this is actually pretty normal. I feel like I'm a kid again, you know.
Are you making money on these comedy shows?
A little bit here and there. Sometimes it's based on donations, or sometimes it's tickets. It's kind of a wide range. Sometimes it's like a fundraiser where I might make a few bucks, and then most of it goes to a cause, or I don't make anything just for a good cause. It just kind of. I mostly want to point out that I'm supporting a lot of good causes. I'm very.
Yeah. Anyone know of any bookstore besides Amazon I can donate from?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, when I signed up for those shows, I thought I was getting paid, and I didn't find it until after.
Yeah.
I accidentally did a good. Yeah. How about you? Are you finding new ways to like make money or that kind of thing?
A little,
new passions.
Yeah, I'm doing a couple of Zoom shows. It's all pointless. I hate it.
Are you finding like new avenues for comedy? Or go ahead. Sorry, I
No, I don't even know what I was about to say. I was just I was just filling the air.
You had some good like articles in Medium and stuff like that. Very funny stuff. Are you finding new things like that are like scratching the itch of not doing live stand up, or thinking of reinventing yourself in some way?
Because we're friends and you're still me. like you never compliment me in person, but you're like, you wrote some articles, funny stuff. You find that's really helpful. Like
I'm trying to be more, you know, I know we usually do just make fun of each other and are usually just super mean to each other, to be honest, but I'm just trying to be professional.
Yeah, that has hit the itch a little. I'm trying to write more stories. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I probably should go on a little bit. I have to talk to a friend of mine. Is that okay?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that's totally, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I should
have told you I had a heart out, but yeah, I gotta make it.
Oh, hey, it's all good. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I was like, I should do this podcast just so Raanan will return my calls, or at least in podcast form.
Yeah, I kind of realized that halfway through. I was like, oh, this is literally the joke about the podcasts are just a way for people to talk to people. I was like, oh, I guess this is your way to, yeah. I mean, sorry, I don't talk to you, but you know, it's hard to talk to people. It's like, yeah, we can catch up with anyone, but I got nothing to say.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you've said a lot of good stuff, and
I'm halfway through defending Jacob. That's what I'm doing. That's how I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, this was no. I feel like we covered a lot of great ground. Most of this all just edit out completely. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think we can leave all this up there, and people can turn it off if they get bored, I guess, or something. But I think it was great. So yeah, we can wrap this up. I guess just check out Raanan's podcasts and albums. They're very funny, and his stand-up.
Can I say what they are? Or?
Yeah. Downhill Ever Since.
That's my album, but my fuck Self-Helpless. Downhill Ever Since, and my podcast is Stuck Inside with Dan and Raanan.
Very funny show. I check out Dan's album as well. Very funny. And
you don't need to plug him. He's not on the fucking show.
Wow, you're a really good friend to your co-host.
No, I'm kidding. Dan Perlman's album, Emergency Contact, really good.
Check out mine when it comes out like 5 years from now, even though I recorded it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And and your Late Show set is up there, very funny, and Comedy Central Live from the Cellar was great. Check those out. I mean, they might be the last chance any of us ever has to be on TV now that all the productions are like shut down, so it's like crazy. But those are really funny sets, and
we had a good run.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, good seeing you. Thanks for
good talking to you, buddy. Good talking to you.
All right.
Stay safe.
Take care. Bye.